please welcome to the stage moderator for our first panel, Diana Diaz-Harrison, founder and CEO of Arizona Autism Charter Schools.
Thank you so much. And joining me on this panel is Bobby Lopez from the Bob Hope Schools, Wayne Jones from Penn Hill's Charter School of Entrepreneurship, Kryzelda Mendoza from Aurora Science and Tech High School, and Michael Marrone from Liguori Academy. First of all, congratulations for being here today. As a former Yas Prize winner, it was such an honor to interview some of you and hear your stories, hear the energy and the passion. And really, that is the most priceless thing about this prize. It is an amazing network that will propel you and fuel you to continue to do the work. And so the topic of today's panel, and starting off the entire program here, is about innovations that fill a void. That's definitely true for myself. There was a glaring void in the ecosystem of schools in Arizona, so I just felt compelled to fill it for my own child who has grown up in our schools now. So what I want to ask each of you, what was your own lived experience that had you notice a glaring void in your community, and why did you feel compelled to fill that void? How does your school model fill the void? So I'm going to toss it over to Bobby first and foremost for Bob Hope Schools. What was the void in that community, and how are you filling it?
All right, great. You know, we have a pre-K through 5th grade Montessori dual language program. Then we have a 6 through 8 middle school and a high school. We have one high school. But our program is really focused on the elementary school. We felt that there was a definite need. And so we had originally started with a 6th through 12th grade program at our charter school. And after being there for about 3 years, we were noticing a big gap with kids coming into 6th grade that we felt, look, and so we need to fill this gap. And it's obvious that the schools were not doing it. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and started our own program, did a Montessori and dual language, Montessori basing it on independence and responsibility, and dual language basing it on the fact that if you have a child go through a dual language program, there's a research that states that they'll do much, much better than the non-kids that don't go through a dual language program. Mm-hmm. So we felt that that was a process that we needed to take. Then additionally, we enhanced the curriculum by adding Mandarin Chinese. And the last is we added to strings, which we mandate all first graders to take strings. So we really consider that a 4-language program. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we did. That's how we filled the void.
Music is the language of the heart.
Yes,
so
it is.
You got that. Yes, well, that's wonderful. I'm excited to hear from Wayne Jones. I love schools that inspire and promote entrepreneurship, because the students that learn how to be entrepreneurs are just, wow, the possibilities are endless. Tell us, why did you see a void in your community that required this type of model?
Sure, good question. First of all, good morning, everyone, and thank you, the Yas Prize, for this opportunity. And so Jeannie Allen talked about the No Child Left Behind, and the focus in No Child Left Behind was preparing students to be workforce ready, right? The idea of the Penn Hills Charter School of Entrepreneurship is shifting away from a workforce ready mentality, but instead developing a career ownership mentality. And we'll get more into that later. However, our school's model, back in 2011, we were at the forefront of innovation and what education would look like in the 21st century. There wasn't anyone, with this type of program and model, in our state, but certainly not throughout the United States. And so here we are, starting as a K through second grade school with an entrepreneurial program, and really didn't have anyone to learn anything from. And so it took a lot of persistence, resilience to really push through this newfound ideology and also educational model to figure it out. And so what we did was we were very aggressive in finding, second career educators to lead our students. And many of those educators have formerly been entrepreneurs, business owners, so they already possess the entrepreneurial mindset. That was key and that was essential. On top of possessing and holding a principal or teaching certification as well. And so as we brought these educators on board, we knew that they could instill what they had in them into our children. And so then it was, how do you create an effective and an appropriate entrepreneurship education model, starting with kindergarten through second grade, but then growing that to K through eighth grade? And what does that actually look like in action, right? And so we developed this model where we've combined the theory of entrepreneurship education with practice. Mm-hmm. And in that, you essentially are giving our students hands-on experience. And I've talked to a number of people in the room in regards to their school's programs and how they're trying to implement a version of entrepreneurship education. But in our school, we take it to the next level. We take voice and choice to the next level. The students are leaving in their circumstances at the door, and everyone's coming in on an even and level playing field to create opportunities and to design what the future looks like for them. That goes back to that career ownership piece, and that's how we're filling the void.
That's amazing. Talk about project-based learning. There's no better project than to create a business. And now let's hear from Kryzelda from Aurora Science and Tech High School. I love that you are creating a pipeline from a young age to fill voids in the healthcare industry. What motivated you and inspired you to do that?
Yeah, great question. Good morning, everybody. I think the story of AST High School started for me when I was a kid. I was a daughter of undocumented parents who had to navigate the school system by myself. I was extremely well prepared and graduated with a degree in physics from CU Boulder, one of two women. Ended up getting pushed out of that field because I was told I was not smart enough to go to graduate school. And as a person who was a woman of color saying like, hey, I was extremely academically prepared, I graduated top 10% of my class, I still was pushed out. And I went into teaching and then realized that so many kids just didn't have the chance to do science. We were had a college prep program on the west side of Chicago. We were still not prepared for science education. And that became my charge as a teacher and then as a leader. And as I started to build AST High School, I started to understand and answer this question, what else do we need to prepare kids for to be in a field that has historically not welcomed us in this space. So building just academics isn't just part of it. It's part of building a strong STEM identity by providing right mentorships for kids, right exposure experiences so kids start to see themselves in the STEM field so they can have those conversations that I wasn't equipped to have when I was that age, and even as a young adult saying I want to be here, but I don't feel like I can belong.
Amazing. Yes, and now let's hear from Michael Marrone from Liguori Academy. I love that your program anticipates the needs of employers in the construction industry and building trades. And so we're not going to wait for kids to finish school to figure out what employers need. We're going to figure out what employers need right now and partner with them to get our kids ready. How did you see that void in your community, and how is your wonderful school filling that?
Well, thank you very much. Our school, I think a lot of it has to do with the location of our school. We are located in an area and a section of Philadelphia called Kensington. It is one of the most depressed, economically depressed, drug-ridden parts of the city of Philadelphia, opioid epidemic, from corner to corner, in front of our school, behind our school. So it was really coming into that area that had no private school education. The only education that was available was for students to participate or become a part of the public school system that was really failing in the area and continues to fail. And so one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to create this private school and make it affordable for all students. Mm-hmm. So money is not the object for our students coming to our school, and we're thankful for all the different funding mechanisms that we put into place. Once we've done that, we realized that our students can't always be the college-bound students. That if we truly want them to be workforce ready, and I agree with you on the workforce, not career, but workforce ready, the best thing was for us to do was to partner with all of the Workforce Development Board of the City of Philadelphia, which we are partnered with Philadelphia Works, the Workforce Board of the state of Pennsylvania. In addition to that, we reached out to members, men and women who were donors and stakeholders of our schools, and we started to ask them to help us to develop a curriculum. Mm-hmm. And with that curriculum, help us to see what is it that your industry needs. so that we can address it on a high school. I think the biggest gap in education is industries here and schools are here, and there's a big gap. And so we wanted to close that gap. We've done that creatively. We started a advisory board of men and women from different industry partners in the area of technology, construction, the arts, and also allied science, health science. And they've helped us develop not just a curriculum, helped us have opportunities for our students to go to internships based on the interest of our students. So they're not being forced to go somewhere, they're based on the interest of the students, as well as curriculum that would help them, and also post-secondary opportunities. So post-secondary for us starts at 9th grade. In a lot of traditional high schools, it starts 11th and 12th. For us, it's at 9th grade, it's that workforce development. So it's tying those students in, it's having students come in, it's all the various projects, like from Shark Tanks to entrepreneurship programs, all these steps so that when they're ready to graduate, we say that they're Liguori ready, and that we've already have industry who's partnered with us, and now our students have credentials and certifications that give us a pipeline for them into industry.
Fantastic. I know that starting a program or a school is not for the faint of heart. I mean, we have to do the impossible, and we're very driven, or we wouldn't be here today. I mean, it's amazing to see so many education entrepreneurs, because we have to do all of it, right? We have to start the business, run the business, be there for the people, the families, the kids. And you do all of that, and there are still obstacles. As if the job wasn't hard enough, there are still challenges that you need to tackle every single day. What are the challenges for you in your school in growing your program, running your program, and how are you uniquely suited to tackle those challenges so that you can still do the work that you believe in and you love? Toss it over to Bobby. What are the challenges?
Great. Well, as I mentioned earlier, one of our models of our program is dual language. And so you would think that you'd be able to find Spanish-speaking teachers in Texas, right? No, we don't. So that has been our biggest challenge, is finding Spanish-speaking teachers. But we go beyond. We have a kind of general philosophy in our organization that the glass is always half full, and we're waiting for a rain. And we're going to move that glass to wherever that rain may be. And so we have taken the opportunity to go to Puerto Rico, the Philippines, Mexico, all of these different areas, and done an H-1B visa and J-1V visa. And so that has been a blessing to us, that it's allowed us to go ahead and get those teachers in there, qualified teachers, to be able to provide the program, such that by the time they get to high school, the kids are doing really, really well. We even got a child into Colombia this year, down the street here.
Congratulations.
To be able to get to start college. So we're excited.
Yes, and what a gift dual languages. If I was in Texas, I would help you. Hablo español. Yes. What about in Penn Hills? What are the challenges, and how are you tackling those? And what can this community do to be aware and support?
Sure, absolutely. So let's start with a positive first. We have an extensive waiting list at Penn Hills Charter School of Entrepreneurship. We've been extremely privileged to have a lot of interest in our school due to our success. But with that, it's created two challenges, major challenges. The first is not having enough room and seats, within our school. And so we've had to expand, and we've had to add, second floor onto our facility. And then secondly, which is the most important, in the state of Pennsylvania, in order to amend your charter, you have to seek approval from your authorizer, your authorizing school district. Obviously, the relationship between the charters and the traditional public schools can be contentious at times. And so for the last 6 years, we've been met with a lot of resistance in addition to COVID. And so most recently, we pivoted and we decided to be a little more strategic and innovative, and we pitched opening a new high school with an entrepreneurial focus in a neighboring school district. And we got a lot of support, and we got that approval last August of 23 to open up the region's first entrepreneurial focused high school in the Pittsburgh region, and which will be opening in the fall of 2025.
Amazing. Yes. A way to, turn detractors to be partners with you. Yes, and what about in Colorado, Kryzelda? What are some of the challenges you're facing, and how are you tackling those? What can we all learn from that?
Yeah, I want to answer this in two ways. I think the first challenge that I was faced with, I always had this vision and excitement for this work. One of the challenges is to get people behind me, to like inspire like my team to say like, hey, we can all do this together. So the leadership challenge of learning how to develop like leaders with me, so I have a coalition of folks. I think the second challenge that we've been really talking about, because Aurora Public Schools, and in Aurora, we have a pretty big void in terms of school quality. And our goal is to not just create like the next phlebotomists or nurses. We want our kids to be the next medical and science leaders on that campus. So like educating families and parents that like their kids and they can actually be more than what anyone else has told them has been a really great challenge to like prove what's possible for kids. And I think my personal story showing them that like it can happen has been a really inspiring way for me to connect to the community, saying like, hey, this is possible with hard work. And that like to show the industry folks who are leading this initiatives to say like our kids are brilliant and we got to get them in the room together. And my ability to be able to do that for the kids in Aurora has changed opportunities for them.
Amazing. And what about for Liguori? You know, you would think there are no detractors that would argue that getting kids ready for actual industry-based jobs when industry has partnered with you wouldn't be an issue, right? That should be a given and a no-brainer, but I'm sure you face some challenges as well.
We definitely face challenges, and I think there's twofold I can look at it. Is number one, we're always working for school choice. Mm-hmm. We need to, people in the state and the city of Philadelphia need to realize that private schools have a seat at the table with everyone else. Because in so many ways, we're complementing the work that they're not doing. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes that could be a challenge for us when it comes for funding and for it comes opportunities as a private school. But then I think internally for us, it's the community that we serve. It's a lack of parental support. So in the high school level, for us, we have students up to the age of 21 because we take students in our school who have dropped out, have been a part of the court system, they were incarcerated at previous points. And so it's getting that support behind us. So we've addressed that by enhancing our behavioral health team, having a social worker who her daily job every day is going door to door, knocking on doors, going to the neighborhood, getting kids to come into school, identifying a ton of resources. So for us, that's one of the challenges that we have, and we're aware of it, and it's a constant struggle with the families at times.
That's right. Yeah, and my next question was going to be in that realm as well, because as school leaders, we are problem solvers, and the level of wraparound services we now all have to engage in, other than just K-12 school, is incredible, but well worth it, right? Because when you provide the wraparound services, the academic success and the school engagement is truly exponential. What are some of the wraparound services that you've had to create? Because you saw a void, you innovated to fill a void even after you started your school. And this is gonna be a quick 1-minute round because we're about to wrap, but also truly important to recognize that we don't just do schools. We're about the whole lifespan and quality of life, what happens at home before they get to school, et cetera. What are some of the wraparounds that you've had to innovate to make your school successful?
Sure. So our wraparound services are really more in the counseling services. Mm-hmm. So we've instilled in each of the campuses what we call a communities in schools counselor, and that avails itself to a lot of different services.
Fantastic.
And I'll say in our school, in terms of just sticking with our entrepreneurial model, we've provided, we have a thing called a free workshop series for our parents. And so our goal is to bridge the knowledge gap and understanding gap of entrepreneurship between our students and our parents. And so we offer workshops in financial literacy, first-time home buying, credit repair, and it's all part of the wraparound services and ensuring that the family as a whole, right, is equipped and provided the resources that they need in order to be successful and to really be sustainable and independent. And so that's pretty unique about our school.
That is amazing.
Similar, we have a lot of parent support, a lot of parent voice in what they need. So last year we did a human trafficking workshop because we found that to be a need for families. And aspirationally, we've just identified that there's a big gap in technical translation on the Anschutz Medical Campus. So our goal is to have our seniors, like who are bilingual, like develop a technical translation certificate to be able to translate for more families on the Anschutz campus. And that's like our aspirational wraparound service in the future.
Yes, always seeing the gaps.
For us, it's as a private school and it's not mandated having a special education coordinator, English as a second language coordinator, a social worker, 3 full-time counselors, and the post-secondary having 4 employees who coach the students through the post-secondary plans, and then having stakeholders who really mentor and work one-on-one with the students in their junior and senior year and getting them to fulfill whatever their workforce plan and seeing it through so that it's not just a dream, but it's actually being accomplished.
Yes, you're creating the path. Yes. Well, at our school, we identified that there's also gaps in healthcare for children and families on the autism spectrum. So we're starting a health clinic. So it's amazing what we can do when we just are willing to see the gaps. And everybody here is such a thoughtful leader because we don't just leave the gaps alone. We innovate to fill those gaps. So it's a true honor to have gotten to know you a little bit. I hope the audience enjoyed getting to know our first panel of the day. And again, congratulations on being Yaz Prize semifinalists.